Chapter 8. Purple Creatures. The shortage of E2 meal base stayed for another week. Long enough to build up their working capital to cover all regular expenses and maintain a good level of stock. A side effect was all the new customers that found their presents and their fresh produce, so when he went back to specialist produce handlers for van number 3, Cal was confident they were in a good position. "I've been thinking," he said, once their third van had driven off for its first run and Ginny was off doing a stock buying trip. "It's time to expand our range." "We've hardly got a range set up," Mia said, slowly shaking her head. "Would it be better if I said I wanted to go somewhere different just for the fun of it?" "We want that too," Kira said. "Somewhere with real monsters would be the most fun," Kyra added, both girls looking at Mia with pleading eyes. "Rigel 12, Cal said. "Once I heard that name, it keeps turning up everywhere." "So you want to go and look?" Mia was still shaking her head a little. "We'll go and search the web while you decide," Kira said. "We'll soon know if they have monsters there," Kyra added. "I'll load a couple of empty pods in case we find something exciting," Cal said. "It'll be fun." "Monsters aren't exciting." Mia was shaking her head even more. "And I'm sure it's a long way," she added distantly. "Maybe my favorite pilot could check her maps," Cal said. "Your special pilot says it's a 3.5 to 4 hour trip." "That's a long way for just a look." "Sooner we set off, the sooner we get there," Cal said cheerily. "We're ready," two girls chorused together. "Ready for blastoff," Cal said. "If I must," Mia muttered, the twins cheering, then giving their readout results. It was a long way. 4 hours of ether space, and even Cal was thinking it might not have been one of his better ideas. His other thought was wishing he had packed more snacks, but ideas of food were soon pushed away when they dropped into normal space in a standard orbit, and in the blackness ahead was a huge hollow sign saying planet-wide wholesale warehouse free parking. "I suppose you want me to land where that sign's pointing," Mia said. "Maybe do a full orbit and see if there is anything else interesting," Cal said, but from their height, the land underneath their orbit path seemed to be mainly cityscapes. Huge covered areas like factories, and row after row of blocks of apartments. Certainly no wild land for monsters to hide in. Mia did a slow gentle glide toward the wholesale warehouse. Something like the Grand Bazaar, with a huge, easily visible landing ground around a massive covered area, although this building was much bigger than even the bazaar. Spaceships of all types in the parking area, the area set out with numbered bays, but with no sign of traffic control. Mia took the ship down to land in Bay H73. Looking out the main hatch, Cal saw a sign in the distance saying main entrance. "All stay together," he said. "We don't know what we'll find here." It was a fair walk, and for all her reticence before, Mia now seemed quite interested in the trip. The main entrance, when they got to it, had guards on each side, with one gruffly asking for their pass. When it was obvious they didn't have one, he pointed to a doorway toward the left. "Register there," he grunted. This room seemed brighter and more inviting. "New visitors," said a colorfully dressed woman sitting before a desk. "Let me get your details." "We're not sure what's here and what we're doing," Cal said, looking around the room trying to divine what was really here. "This is our showroom displaying everything produced in this planet. Inside you'll find everything from babies' booties to heavy machinery. One stop here and you can place your order, and your purchases will be packed while you wait. We pride ourselves on having the widest range of goods, and the most efficient distribution system in the galaxy. All we need to begin is your business details and a one-time 10-credit fee for your pass. While you consider, here is a pamphlet of some of the lines we stock and a map of the showroom." Mia and the twins grabbed a pamphlet, leaving Cal to deal with offering the business details and paying the fee. In return, he was given a bright yellow card with their name and an embossed number. "Show this whenever you order, and again when you collect your goods. I'm sure you'll find this a profitable visit. You can enter the showroom there." Reminiscent of the bazaar, the sound hit him as Cal came last through the doorway into the showroom. bright, noisy and very busy, with goods of all description as far as the eye could see. "We want to see if they have any more monsters," Kira said, a map held ahead of her. "We think it's in the toys area," Kyra added. Cal was content to tag along behind as the women pressed forward through the throng. It seemed they had walked as far inside here as they had out from the ship, but eventually the girls stopped and began excitedly exclaiming. When Cal engaged his buying mind, he saw a large display shelf stuffed with different color and shape of fluffy monsters. Why anyone would want them he didn't know, but the twins and Mia seemed enthralled. A young woman attendant was busy selling them and Cal got close enough to hear the details. Everything was sold in box lots, but the prices were very low. So low, it would be hard not to make a profit, even if half the things didn't sell. 100 credits assorted, he whispered in Mia's ear. She turned and nodded, and then the fun began, the twins trying to choose what they liked best while Mia attempted to mediate. An order was slowly assembled and Cal was needed to pay and show his card. 98 credits worth of assorted fluffy tentacles and fangs and claws. "We should look at clothes next," Kira said. "Orange tops for everyone," Kyra said. "We know where to go." They didn't get there because they found a stall with small NIC arcs like the two-headed snake ring things they got from the carnival. At least these things were very cheap, but they were all supplied in huge quantities. Cal was trying to encourage the women to move on when he thought free handouts to kids with the fruit packs. To the women's delight, he spent 29 credits on thousands of brightly colored snakes and lizards and worms and spiders. The clothing section went on for miles. Trying to keep the women focused on orange tops seemed impossible. Even reminding them that they had to buy in packs of usually at least 20 didn't slow them down. So they had accumulated more than 40 credits of assorted items before they even got close to the tops. Then it was different sizes and shapes and another 34 credits. While he'd been waiting, Cal studied the pamphlet himself and found a section he was interested in: material handling, so when the tops were ordered he pointed the women to that section. He had to bribe them with the offer that if they saw any purple creatures on the way he would let them check them out. What they did find was a food stall, so it was a stop for snacks, but he kept them focused on his chosen area when they'd finished eating. Even the twins were interested in the material handling section when they got there. All different ways of making goods move and sort and pack. "You're thinking of packing our produce packs?" Mia became interested too. And then Cal saw what he wanted. A machine where boxes moved over rollers around an oval track while they could be inspected or sorted, according to the display. The salesman was right on to the job, handful of pamphlets and ready for a sale. The equipment was in modules, so you only bought the parts you wanted. Cal wanted boxes of produce to circulate around while someone picked one from each box and packed it in a bag. 2 long straight sections, and 2 U-sections, all with speed control and adjustable legs, the salesman said. "Now if you add this bagging option, one press will close and seal the bag. And for a really professional job, it can apply a sticker as well." "We need stickers," Kira said excitedly. "We could get our faces on the sticker," Kyra added. "Custom stickers will take 2 days to be made, all the other items are in stock now." "How much?" Mia asked. Cal was expecting a lot. Basic setup would be 860, and the bagger option would add 280. "We'll take it," Cal said. "We need the stickers," Kira said, looking between Cal and her sister, and both girls looking like they were getting ready to insist. "We don't have a design," Mia said. "Maybe another time. My crew will design it for you. I'll take an image now, and the final stickers will be ready in 2 more days." "We'll want Stallion produce around the edge," Cal said, while Mia shook her head. A few minutes of posing while images were captured, and so was a lot of credits from Cal's terminal. "Time for us to move on." "You promised we could look for purple creatures," Kyra said. "On our way out," Cal said. "How about display shelves for fluffy monsters?" "That's the best ever idea," Kyra yelled. "We'll need plenty," Kira added quickly. The shelves came in packs of 5, so that should be enough, but both twins insisted 10 would be better, then it was storage bins for the spare monsters. Cal insisted he was completely out of credits now, and they should go and collect their purchases. A large sign pointed the way, and they arrived in one corner of a vast warehouse, a woman asking for their card, then she studied her screen. All packed on a lifter for now, you can bring it back when you're loaded. Next time bring your pods here first and we'll load them for you. A few minutes watching the chaos around them, and then the woman called for Cal, a paper in her hand. Your invoice. Your lifter is by that doorway. Number 31. A bright yellow flag on a pole with the number 31 was flying over a well-filled lifter. We didn't order that much, Cal muttered to himself, but the twins were keen to get the lifter working and being pushed out this building and toward the Stallion. Cal began moving the boxes of goods from the lifter and into the 2 empty pods in the freight hold. The others were much slower, more interested in trying to read the labels on the boxes than actually moving them. At least Cal didn't need to read the labels in the long and heavy boxes of the packing machine, getting help to lift them was the problem. By the time it was all loaded he was ready for a good rest. You can take the lifter back, Kira said. We'll finish tidying here. Finish playing with fluffy monsters, Cal muttered as he pushed the lifter back to the warehouse, and as he expected, when he got back to the ship, the control room was scattered with fluffy creatures of different types. The girls opened some boxes to make sure they gave us the right ones, Mia said as she clutched a bright yellow tentacle thing to her chest. Do you want to go out and find a good meal and stay here the night? Cal said. Fly back fresh tomorrow. That's the best, Kira said. Then we can check all the others here too, Kira added. The closest food was back inside the warehouse, so with their pass, they all went back, searching for different food. Certainly plenty of selection, and it was giving ideas of new things to look to sell. When we come back to get the stickers, we'll go through the food area here and see about some of these different tasting sauces and things. We should ask Sue, Mia said. She might know. That had been Cal's idea too. As they were landing, Ginny's Stallion was leaving with the 3 vans to deliver, everyone on the Stallion refreshed and ready to explore their purchases. The 2 pods of assorted toy monsters and clothes were quickly pushed toward the shop, leaving the heavy and bulky machinery as well as the packs of shelving and storage crates. Cal chose taking some of the crates as he followed the women and their treasures. There would be no sensible talking until they had tired of fluffy toys. It was going to be another long day. By his 3rd trip with crates, all those in the liner were in the shop checking the new stock. At least Mia had the invoice and was working with Agatha to decide selling prices, while the children were all running about loudly clutching toy monsters of some sort. Orbis made for Cal. Got some treasures for you to play with too, Cal said. We'll need a lifter though. The 2 men took 2 trips to bring the shelves and the parts for the packing machine. Cal began working on the shelves, undoing one box and putting the pieces out while Orbis began the bigger task of decoding how the packing machine had to be reassembled. Cal was well on the way to finishing his first shelf unit while Orbis was still carefully placing pieces in a line. More bits than in a rock breaker, he muttered. They told me there was an instruction sheet in each box, Cal said. Some strange language, Orbis muttered. Even the pictures look like they are from some other machine. Sue might know, Cal said. Women wouldn't know machines like this. Reading the strange writing, Cal said. I'll take her the sheet. Sue did know, and read the words aloud for the 2 men. It'll be easier once we got one done, Orbis said. Cal nodded to Sue and she went back to discuss fluffy toys with the other women and Cal went back to his shelves. He was half through assembling the 2nd shelf unit when Ginny's Stallion came back from the morning delivery, so there was another woman to join the fluffy toy discussion and her husband to help with the packing machine. When Cal had his 2nd shelf unit complete, the scatter of parts around the packing machine seemed even bigger, with no sign of anything being bolted together. He decided it best he stayed out and moved to the twins to tell them 2 shelves were ready for monsters to use. While they raced off to look, he noticed Ginny with a large red and yellow tentacled monster wrapped tightly across her chest. "Maybe both you pilots might like to talk in our ship," he whispered to Mia. She turned to face him. "Just you two. The assistant nurses are busy with shelves." Back with the temporary assembly area, the twins had two men helping them move shelves, and once they began, others joined in offering their advice in how the whole shop should be rearranged. Cal was left alone with the machinery assembly, and with the instruction sheet in one hand, he attempted assembling the first pieces as shown on the top of the instruction sheet. Maybe the others had been overthinking the process, because it didn't seem so difficult. Slowly the mass of small bits reduced and the machine was beginning to look more like what he remembered from seeing it in the showroom. Now with the main bench complete, the long tray covered with rollers for the boxes to easily slide along, he turned that bench upside down and was able to bolt the four legs on. The floor now free of bits and the machine looking like it might even work, once it was turned up the right way. Around him was a chatter of people offering suggestions about what should be moved and exactly how much, and no two voices were saying the same thing. Time to open another box of parts, the U-bend section. He had most of the small pieces laid out before he had company. "Looks like you have it mastered," Orbis said. "Easier since I remembered what it looked like in the showroom." "You tightened the nuts." "Leaving that for someone that knows about tools. I'll get some spanners from the maintenance ship." Cal had half the small pieces fitted in place before the tools arrived, so now Orbis tightened parts after Cal had placed them. Quicker than he thought, both sections were complete and the two men turned them over so the sections stood up on their legs. It really did look like a serious machine now. Ginny's husband appeared to help as he saw the progress, and the remaining two pieces were completed in record time. "We'll need to change the shop again to make somewhere to set this up," Orbis said as the men stood back surveying their work. "In that back corner," Cal said. "Wall it off from the customers using the pods and the spare monster boxes." "That will take longer than anything," Orbis grumbled, but went off to begin the task. "Haven't seen my wife," Ginny's man quietly said to Cal. "I think Mia sent her to our ship to maybe do a medic checkup. Didn't think she was ill." "Babies," Cal said. "Fluffy monster toys get women thinking of babies." It was time for Ginny's Stallion to pick up the 3 vans and still the shop was being changed. At least the main 4 parts of the packing machine were in place, but the pods and boxes forming the privacy wall wasn't. While Orbis was supervising the movements, Cal spent time working out where and how to position the motor drive and speed control panel to the completed roller bench. He was hoping to have the machine working enough to use it for the night's packing for the vans. All seemed ready to test, but he wasn't really confident, so he encouraged the twins to check. "You need proper engineers for this sort of work," Kira said as the pair ran their hands over the metal parts. "You men don't know how these things work," Kira added. "We managed before," Orbis muttered in the distance, but Cal knew it best to stay silent. Both women down kneeling under the machine, looking intently at various nuts and bolts as they wriggled things with their hands. After looking over all the machine, both girls came to report. "Considering you are not proper engineers, it seems to be assembled correctly," Kira said formally. "We consider it safe to turn on now," Kira said. "I consider a proper engineer should turn it on first," Cal said. "Someone that would know if anything was wrong." "Me first," Kira called. "I looked harder," Kira said. "Both together," Cal said. "Us men will stand well back in case it explodes." It didn't explode, humming into action instead, rollers turning around and changing speed as the girls turned the control knob. Within minutes, there were empty produce boxes trundling around and around the machine, all surrounded by women and children all wanting to play with it too. "We'll be needing a couple more of these soon," Orbis said as him and Cal stood well back and watched. "I need to talk to you about future plans," Cal said softly. "Need someone to tell me where I'm thinking wrong. Might need to take some of these tools back to the warehouse," Orbis said, head turning around at all those studying the packing machine. "I'll help you carry," Cal said loudly. A minute and both men were out the shop and standing under an old ship in the shade and able to see anyone else coming. Been thinking of how to expand quickly, but only using the credits coming into the business now. You know I still have ways of helping. I thank you for all you've done, but I'm trying to plan if that was not possible. 3 more weeks and we'll have 6 vans on the streets. That's giving enough income to support the business, and as well, the shop sales are increasing every week, and there is even the sale of fluffy monsters to consider. It's going well really. Too well, Cal said. I didn't think we would sell so much produce so quickly and in such a small area. You look at that city map on the wall inside and our 3 vans are only getting to a tiny part of the 3rd ring. We go to almost the same place every day and still sell out. I'd originally thought we would do maybe weekly runs to an area. Our 6 vans could most likely cover that band of the city in the week. But we don't need to move. Plenty of willing customers. It's a good complaint, but it leads to a bigger issue. To cover the whole of the outer of the city like this will take maybe 40 vans. Maybe more. I'm thinking 60 when you include the 2nd ring. I've been thinking too. I'm not sure I want 60 vans in this city. Every van is at least 2 staff, and we'll soon need a small city of our own to run that. I didn't think you'd get frightened, and we've got the space for a small city. Orbis swept his arms around. I was going to say about running 2 shifts with the vans. 1 crew goes out in the morning, and afternoon, they swap with another crew that work till evening. 1 van but still 4 staff members, and the noon changeover could be done with only a runabout. Won't work. Orbis stared at Cal. The staff love their vans. You noticed that. Consider them their own property. Pride. You need to work with that. Each crew need to choose their own van and keep with it unless they want to change. As you say it, I know I would be the same. Thanks. I know it makes things harder, but you always knew that people was the most important thing that will keep you in business. There's another decision that's making things difficult too, Cal said. We should really have the vans stored in a warehouse in town, but I want them here with us. That's a huge complication, but it's my choice. And I think that a good choice too, but that brings the next issue. Ships, Cal said. Maybe we can move 12 vans over 2 trips, but 60 vans. They would hardly get to the ground when they'd need to be on the way back. Really it would need another 2 ships and crews. Not impossible, but it never stops, does it? Orbis said. I know it well. One idea that doesn't include huge loans is to start dropping the vans closer to the area we work. Some vacant land outside the city area. I was thinking of having 3 areas spaced around the city perimeter to do the drop-offs and pick-ups. You do need that, but it won't be free now. You'll need to buy that land soon. I'd get that Agatha woman on the job. Her father too. They know people that might help. Then we'll work at saving the credits to do the deal. Cal looked Orbis in the eyes. We really go big then. Big is the only way, lad. You'll get more support than you imagine. Just do the best you can now, and over the weeks the fear will reduce as you see the city of people you're building. The Stallion Book 2. The Base at Grand Bazaar. A Space Adventure. By Mystic Alchemist. Copyright 2024 Mystic Alchemist. All rights reserved. Written in Australian English. This book is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places and incidents are either a product of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual people living or dead, events or locales is purely coincidental. Cover and text written and assembled by hand without use of artificial intelligence.